we were told about the broken vertebrae, I wondered, when did that happen? Did they do that in the car? You know, make sure he's incapacitated, get him in the car, and then needs to be evaluated, needs to be examined. Let me let it roll for just a second before I switch over there. But keep in mind, we're listening for hair. Here we go. You ready?
Suspect in black long pants, black bag, longer hair, with blank dark aviator style sunglasses with a long gun.
This is alleged to be Lance Twiggs.
This whole thing just got so much more messier. Talk about factors in the equation. The probability of a Fed cover-up is through the roof. We are talking greater than 99%. All right, so we're going to cover Baron Coleman and the episode that he did last night on the Charlie Kirk investigation. And he put on a masterclass. Like, this was a masterpiece. And I know that he's been working on it for a while because he's been referencing O.J. Simpson a lot over the last month or so and saying that he's going to talk about the case. And I knew that he was going to have a monologue for it. If you watch Baron Coleman and you really pay attention to this guy and his work, then you will know that he loves his monologues. Like, he puts a lot of work and time into them, and there's always a deep, deep meaning behind it, and he puts a lot of thought into it. And the way that he was referencing OJ over the last month or so, I knew that he was planning it, and that whenever he did the OJ monologue, that it was going to be a big episode, and he was going to bring a lot to the table, and he did not disappoint. He did not disappoint. He totally broke the case. He totally broke the case. And when I say broke the case, I don't mean that he solved exactly who killed Charlie Kirk. But, I mean, he caught the conspiracy. There is no denying that the FBI was involved in this case. And it's ironic because I premiered an episode last night where I was, focusing on Kash Patel and his lack of credibility. And I said that the FBI and Kash Patel specifically were clearly involved in the cover-up of Charlie Kirk. And now, after seeing this episode, I don't know how there could be any doubts in anybody's mind. So we're going to skip the opening monologue. You're going to have to watch the show yourself to catch that part. And I suggest you do because it was fantastic. It was fantastic. But we're going to cover some of the stuff that he brought to the table last night. And oh boy.
12:23. This is the very minute that Charlie Kirk heard the Big Bang. We all heard the Big Bang. The Big Bang heard around the world. So I'm going to play this audio. This is the first dispatch broadcast that was played that afternoon. You're going to hear Alpha 35. We have shots fired. Charlie Kirk is down.
Alpha 34. We have shots fired. Charlie Kirk is down.
That radio call went out at 12:23. That's consistent. And why I play that is I'm letting you know that our timeline is correct. So when we play the rest of these, they're all relative to that first dispatch. Here is a recording saying he's on his way to the hospital. This is 30 seconds later, and this is consistent with what you guys saw.
Hey, we did have shots fired. He's on his way to the ambulance. He's on his way to the hospital.
Engine 31 and Medic Ambulance 35. Respond to unknown incident type. At 3, off, in Utah Valley, on fire 2.
I don't know if you heard that. It was breaking up in my ear. But he says, hey, we did have shots fired. He's on his way to the ambulance, on his way to the hospital. Now, here's a critical play here because just seconds after that broadcast, this was when we all took a deep sigh of relief because we thought they had the perpetrator. This is the broadcast announcing that they have, in fact, captured or arrested a suspect. This was the George Zinn arrest, but here's the audio.
3 units, second clear and respond to SSUV with an active shooter.
Alpha 11, I've got one in custody.
Copy, one in custody.
Yeah, so Alpha 11 got one in custody, and then the dispatcher says, copy, one in custody. That took place a minute, 7 seconds after the initial broadcast. A minute, 7 seconds after the initial broadcast. Now, this is an interesting one because it confirms what we heard from Brian Harpole in the Sean Ryan interview, that they were flying up the highway with Charlie Kirk actually hanging out of the...
See, and I just want to touch on real quick with that George Zinn situation. a lot of attention went on George Zinn when Charlie was first killed, especially when there was the false rumor that went around that he was on the scene at 9/11. We now know that to be false, that there was a video that went around of him talking about where he was on 9/11 and his memory of it, but he was talking about being in a hotel lobby in Colorado, I believe. He was watching a Broncos-Giants game at the stadium the day before. You know, I just don't want people to forget how big of a deal it was for them to have somebody on the scene claiming that they did it. Like the level of distraction, all the people on the scene grabbing him, arresting him, while whoever actually did commit the crime and other people involved are able to just operate and do what they can, basically invisible. You know, it gave them a hell of a head start. And then after the fact, we never heard from George Zinn again. They found some things on him that he was involved, some e-file related type material, I guess we could call it. And that's it. There's no word from him again, and it's just totally overlooked. But I don't want us to forget about George Zinn and the role that he played that day.
With Charlie Kirk actually hanging out of the car. This is confirmation of that over the police radio. He says, 212, everybody get off the radio. I've got a black SUV northbound on Wolverine Way, passenger doors open, someone trying to hang out of it.
212, everybody get off the radio. I've got a black SUV northbound on Wolverine Way. Passenger door is open. Someone's trying to hang out of it.
That broadcast right there was less than 4 minutes after the Big Bang. So they had already gotten Charlie Kirk from the scene of the incident into the SUV and were flying up the highway with someone hanging out of the car. So here is a bit of confusion, our first little bit of confusion that enters. This is where they think they have another victim because of someone else hanging out of the car.
I assume this is possibly another victim. They've got one hanging out of the car.
So there was some confusion there. Hey, maybe we have a second victim. Why are people hanging out of the car? I understand Charlie's a big guy. I do understand that. And I understand when you're initially putting him in, it's going to be difficult to get a 6'4" Charlie Kirk into the car sideways. But you would think as they're flying up the highway, at some point somebody would bend his legs and close the door. I would think. But we have yet another.
You know, I will say this. In the heat of the moment, if we have this all wrong and they were trying to save Charlie, it would make sense that they would just be going and that they wouldn't care. If it was me in that situation and I was trying to save somebody that I love that was bleeding out, it's just go. It's just go. Very strange. The whole thing is very strange.
Broadcast discussing someone hanging out of the car. This is a third broadcast that someone's hanging out of the car.
Copy 2530.
And don't be confused. I still 1000% believe that there was a conspiracy in this. And I don't think for 1 second that the people on the scene at Turning Point and their security and Frank Turek and everybody have been telling the truth. In fact, they have been caught in multiple lies. But we don't know the truth yet. We don't know who knew what, who did what. The fact is, we still don't even know for sure that he's really even dead. I think he's dead. It would be so wild. It would be so wild if he's not. But there's just so many conflicting anomalies in this. And it really has turned into like the ultimate distraction. And with everything going on with these e-files, you know, on one hand, it's like, obviously we want to get to the truth. We don't want to forget about Charlie and what happened, and we want to figure out the truth. But on the other hand, we have to balance out our time because we have a lot of things that we have to deal with right now in this world. And we have a lot of problems that we're facing. This right here, the fact that Baron got the 911 calls and that he covered it, it's definitely worth going over. It's definitely worth our time. And let's keep going.
Vehicle 50 South 1200 West in Orem. They have one hanging out of the car. We're not sure if they're a patient or if they're just trying to get out of the area.
So this is a little bit of confusion again, that this could be somebody fleeing the scene of the crime. Bad way to think about this. And I hate to even raise the issue, but I have to because I've mentioned it, that there could have been a fatal incident inside the car. That my working hypothesis is that Charlie Kirk was not just taken down one way. They would never have left it they would never have left it up to a single gunshot from the Losi Center, a 142-yard gunshot that they just hoped was fatal. If you're going to take someone down, you're going to make sure they're taken down. And we know they made sure they were taken down because hate to be dark about it, but they didn't have any plan. They didn't have security plans the next day.
Yeah, that really is crazy. The idea that they had nothing set up for the event the next day. You know, and how would Charlie not know that? It's just very weird. It's all very weird. But with all these red flags, I mean, we all know. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
It seems obvious to me that it was a plan. It was a group plan to make sure he didn't make it out of there alive. And so I've raised the issue of perhaps there was some electricity involved. Perhaps there was something that exploded under his shirt or shocked him under his shirt or some sort of activity under the shirt that caused the shirt to move like that. Maybe that there were 2 small puncture wounds, it looked like, or wounds of some sort on his arm. Maybe he was hit with a taser, or maybe he was hit with a hypodermic needle on his arm.
See, and I had a theory. About if they faked it. I said the entire time, because the first time I saw on Instagram, I was just swiping around like any other day, and I saw what happened to Charlie, and I didn't realize what I saw. The first time I saw it, my initial reaction was, "Oh shit, someone just tased Charlie Kirk. That sucks." I had to play it back to be like, "Wait, what? Like he got shot?" But the first time I saw it, my initial reaction was the way that he reacted, that jerk, that it didn't look like he got shot. You know, after the fact, I'm like, okay, well, if the bullet hit his spine, it would make sense. But to just hit the tissue in the way that it didn't seem like a shot. It seemed like he got tased. Now, hypothetically, if they were trying to stage it, or if he thought for some reason that they were trying to fake it, you know, like Jesse on Fire, and shout out to Jesse on Fire, is alleging, it would make sense that they would shock him to make it look real, to give it an authentic, especially if they know that he's going to be on camera. And who knows, maybe they hit him with a little too much juice. And that's why they were rushing to the hospital, that they thought they were staging his death. And maybe they did, or maybe something went wrong. Maybe everything we know about that day is not what we thought. And maybe it didn't go as planned. You know, I'm not trying to make anything any more messier than it is, although I don't even think that that's possible at this point. But it's definitely worth considering.
And then of course we were told about the broken vertebrae. I wondered, when did that happen? Did they do that in the car? You know, make sure he's incapacitated, get him in the car, and then, in other words.
Oh yeah, guys, don't mind the pink cup. I'm not here selling mugs yet. I might sell mugs at some point. I mean, I gotta sell something at some point. But for now, I always just go for the tallest one, especially because it's my first coffee. I always go for the tallest mug. I don't care.
It raises the possibility that he was uncooperative. I hate to say it, but I have to at least mention it, because this is like a 10 or 12-minute ride to the hospital. This is a long ride to the hospital. It wasn't right next door. You're driving at highway speeds. Why is someone hanging out of the car? Fold his legs up and shut the door. It doesn't make sense to me. So I think this is important evidence that at least whatever was happening in the car needs to be evaluated, needs to be examined. Maybe that's why the car was removed so quickly from the fleet, of the rental fleet. Maybe that's why the car was cleaned and detailed and sold so quickly. I don't know. I can't, all I can do is speculate, because they've done such a lousy job of preserving the evidence. If we had the evidence, we wouldn't have to speculate, now would we? This
A lousy job of preserving the evidence. It doesn't seem like they ever even tried to preserve the evidence. It seems like they were trying to fake and plant the evidence.
It doesn't make sense to me. So I think this is important evidence that at least whatever was happening in the car needs to be evaluated, needs to be examined. Maybe that's why the car was removed so quickly from the fleet, of the rental fleet. Maybe that's why the car was cleaned and detailed and sold so quickly. I don't know. I can't.
Well, we thought that the car was impounded or whatever happened to it because of the ABS plastic that was in there. Right? Wouldn't that still be the most probable reason? Is if it was the microphone and there was evidence of the microphone, that would be, anything else after that's kind of secondary.
But as I look at this, I start to put this together. I was like, okay, we have shots fired. Charlie Kirk is down. They've got one in custody, so they're not. I don't think they're worried at this point, anyway, about people getting away. That's a huge red flag for me, because I think this highlights the criticality of George Zinn doing what he did it allowed anyone else on campus to get away scot-free because the police thought they had the guy. The police were
Yeah, that's what I said before, that we cannot forget how critical that was for whatever operation that this was, and that it's hard for me to believe that George Zinn wasn't involved, especially knowing that with all these anomalies, all the hand signals, all the different people, the idea that the person that was like the patsy saying, "Oh, I did it, it was me," that was just random, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. And now we don't even have access to him. Like he's like, "Oh yeah, they found him with kitty stuff, and that's it. 15 years. See you later. Forget about him." It's like, what?
arresting somebody. It took multiple officers to respond. They're no longer looking for people. And this all happened within 45 seconds of the Big Bang. Then you've got this SUV flying down the highway. The passenger door is open. Someone's trying to hang out of it. It does not say someone's feet are dangling out of it. Someone's trying to hang out of it. That indicates like there's a whole person, perhaps. And if you're driving at highway speed, you might not want to jump out, even if you perceive as danger inside the car. All right, so now we're going to fast forward a little bit because now we're going up to 12:33 p.m. 10 minutes, only 10 minutes past.
See, my whole question with that is, if Baron's saying it was like a 12-minute car ride from the center to the hospital, and that somebody was hanging out of the car the whole time, there was no other cars around that are like, oh shit, someone's hanging out, and recorded it, took pictures. Like, how is there not a single piece of photo or video evidence of that? If I was driving on the parkway, and especially if there's kids in the car, if I'm driving, even if I don't have my phone, my phone's in the glove box, if I'm driving, I got a kid in the car, and the kid's like, oh shit, look at that, someone's hanging out of the car. You better believe that somebody's going to be taking their phone out and trying to record it and like, oh my God, look at this. Right? Yes or no? Yes or no? How is there no footage of that? If it's a 12-minute car ride and somebody was hanging out or the door was open the whole time, or nobody on TikTok saying, hey, I was driving and look at this, even if it's someone that didn't even know what was going on, didn't know it was Charlie Kirk, didn't know that he had just got shot, just driving and seeing someone driving with the car open, with the door open, hanging out. Like, stuff like that goes viral. Goes viral. Yes or no? Very odd. Just one more anomaly. Just one more anomaly that makes this all so weird.
The Big Bang. And now we get the introduction of canine dogs on the scene. Here we go.
United Avenue. 1J 129. I've got all county canine headed that way. Where do you need us?
We got all county canines headed that way. Where do you need us? I don't know what canine dogs are looking for in this moment. I don't know what they're looking for. I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know what they're after. This is only 10 minutes afterwards.
Well, if a gun was fired, they would be able to smell it.
Maybe they just think, hey, we might have a foot chase. We might have, who knows? I don't know what all canines can do. I know what canines allegedly couldn't do, which was locate the rifle. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So they have these canines.
No sense.
They're headed that way. Where do you need us? Now, here is the first indication something is amiss. You've got somebody here who just spoke to a student. What did the student say?
Spoke to a student, said that the shooter is on top of the building on the far north side, maybe the CS building, or just east of the library. He's wearing jeans, black shirt, black mask, long rifle.
The rifle is visible. Just spoke to a student. She said the shooter is on top of the building on the far north side. I'm going to pull up the building she was just.
Now, we've all seen the pictures a million times of him jumping off, or the person jumping off the roof. And there was no rifle visible. But here, they're saying that the rifle was visible.
Talking about. Because she said the CS building. That's the computer science building. I'll show you the building we're talking about. She didn't say the Losi Center building. She said the CS building. Let me pull this up and give you a good idea here of what we are looking at. This is the CS building. So if we drill in here, we get where is there? This is the courtyard, UVU courtyard right here. This is the UVU courtyard. North is straight up. This is not positioned to the north. I mean, the map is positioned to the north. The courtyard is actually kind of east-northeast facing. But if you back up here, this is where we're told the shot was taken from. This is where we're told the shooter came from. This is not the building that student just said she saw a shooter on. She described the shooter with some particularity. She described the shooter as wearing black jeans, black shirt, black mask, long rifle. And on top of the CS building, that building is back here. That's a different building. That's this building. And she says the shooter is on top of the building. Just spoke to a student. This is 10 minutes later. Just spoke to a student. Shooter is on this building. I have long suspected somebody was back there acting as a lookout of the whole operation. And I thought this guy was probably a lookout or a decoy, one or the other. But we'll just allow that for now. So let's go back to our timeline real fast. Let's go back to our timeline. Now, we have yet another person describing what they are seeing. We had that person say, shooters in the building wearing on top of the building, wearing jeans, black shirt, black vest. We know for a fact that is not what Tyler Robinson was alleged to have been wearing. We have more here.
All units responding to you, just be advised, we have information that the shooter is on top of the building on the far north side, just east of the library, wearing jeans, black shirt, black vest. We are...
Black vest.
Far north side, just east of the library. Well, let me show you where this is. Because this is, again, not anywhere near the Losi Center.
And wasn't there a witness, which is probably the one who gave this description, that hasn't been contacted by the defense, that said that they saw the shooter and that they were wearing black tactical gear? Very odd. Very odd. This whole thing is a psyop. Like, the question isn't whether or not this is a psyop. The only question at this point is if Charlie is actually dead.
This is your library right here. The far north side, this is the north side of campus. Just east
Whatever.
is going to be perhaps the Army ROTC building. Perhaps this building, the Sorensen Center building. But I don't know how you would say that this building down here in the middle of campus is on the far north side, just east of the library. This is the library, just east of the library is here. Or perhaps they're situated wrong and they're thinking this is just east of the library. But either way, that's not consistent with, like, why would you use the library as a landmark for a building that's in the middle of campus? It doesn't make sense. It does that doesn't make sense. But again, early reports, maybe things go wrong. So let's go back to the timeline and see if that gets cleared up at all in any capacity whatsoever. Because we have another description here.
The last known location I have is that the shooter was on top of the north building just east of the library, wearing jeans, black shirt, and a vest.
Doesn't clear that up any. It's the same exact description, same exact thing. This is what they're operating with at this time. Now, let's go forward to...
Keep in mind, even without any of the other anomalies, this right here, what we're listening to, is all of the probable cause that Tyler Robinson needs to get this case thrown out. It's all... Well, you got to remember, he is innocent till proven guilty. It doesn't matter what anybody says, what they're saying they got the guy. Erica Kirk saying, oh, I know I got the guy. Megyn Kelly saying she believes that they got the guy. In the court of law, he is innocent until proven guilty beyond any reasonable doubt. And all we have seen from this case is reasonable doubt since day one. Since day one. This is a disgrace. This really is a disgrace.
This is the key. This is probably one of the more important audio clips we'll play tonight. I'm going to cue it up, and then I'm going to say something before I play it. Oh, that's not right. 47. All right, let me cue it up, and then I'm going to say something before I play it. I'm going to bring it down. I will bring it back up before I play it. One of the keys that we've been told this entire time is that we know Tyler Robinson was the one on that roof. Because while he didn't leave a weapon up there, he did leave the screwdriver. The screwdriver was up there on the Losi Center. We thought to ourselves, well, how does that work? Because at first they told us he reassembled the gun after he got done. Well, you can't reassemble the gun if you don't have a screwdriver. Then they told us, no, the gun was never disassembled to need to be reassembled. Okay, well, this is odd. Why did you say it was disassembled and then needed to be reassembled if it didn't need to be reassembled because it was never disassembled? Why did you say that? Then we were told, doesn't matter. We don't need to talk about the gun because we found the screwdriver. He left it where he was laying. It was right there. That's how we knew it was his screwdriver. Let me tell you what the first officer responding to the scene of the crime discovered.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be good.
Because I think he will disagree with that analysis, and the TPUSA Fed slop has fed us a healthy dose of but the screwdriver. Here, listen to what he says.
On top of the Losi building, I do have kind of an imprint, which would be a great angle, just in 14 on top of the Losi.
Did you hear anything about screwdriver? Don't you think if he saw he says he sees the imprint?
He says, I think I see where he was laying down. This would have been a good spot. Yeah. Yeah, really? Really? So what did they plant the screwdriver when they planted the gun?
That was an imprint. Would have made a nice angle. I just have a feeling he would have said, and there's a weird screwdriver right here. What's this doing here? I don't know. Maybe I'm reading that too much into it.
I don't think so.
Now, have you been told that within 24 minutes of the Big Bang, that the police already had an image, a still image, as well as a full video in their possession. Now, we knew a day or two later somebody came out because they put that thing on X that had the guy lying there on the full video on the thing. We know a day or two later they had a couple of days later, they had the surveillance footage from the computer science building that was looking out over the Losi Center. The FBI released that. We know a day or two later, they came out with the image of everybody dropping, and somebody noticed, hey, way in the background, there's a little guy that looks like he's scampering off the building. So we knew that like days later. Was anyone aware? And if they were, can we please take a look at this still photo and video? Because the Utah County Police, the police scanner, says that they have somebody with a picture and a full video. I don't know if that, now I don't, maybe they're talking about the actual wound, but I mean, I kind of read it as they have a image of the suspect. That's what they're looking for. But you tell me what you hear.
That would make sense.
201, can you send me a picture of the individual we're looking for?
So that's the response to it. Let me go back to them saying they have a video. So if he responds saying, can you send me a picture? It's in response to this transmission.
We have somebody with a picture. We have somebody with a full video.
1J132. If we
A
can get
full
a few more
video.
units over to the Loki Center to help
Full
clear it out.
video of what?
So the first broadcast was, we have somebody with a picture. We have somebody with a full video. In response to that, somebody says, well, can you send me a picture of the individual we're looking for? So at least he interpreted it that way as well. That somebody had
Is
an
there a
image of the
correction?
person they're looking for. I would like to see that. Who were they looking for?
Is there more audio? Like, wouldn't there be a correction? Like, if that's not what she's saying that they have? If he's saying, oh, send me an image so we know what we're looking for, wouldn't she say, oh, no, I mean something else?
Go back up on top of the Losi Center roof. Now we're doing a little more thorough investigation. Listen for a screwdriver. Do you hear a screwdriver here?
I've got an imprint of a body laying, knee, head, looks like elbow, so somebody with thumb was right here. Any casing? I do not see a casing, but it is straight on.
So he's examining the scene closely enough to say, I see knees, I see legs, I see what looks like an elbow. So somebody was laying right here. Any casings? I do not see a casing, but it's straight on.
If he was looking for a casing, he would have found a screwdriver. That's just my opinion. What do you guys think?
I just feel like at that point he would say, no, I don't see casings, but I see this random screwdriver still laying up here.
I agree.
That's weird. So again, last time before we leave this particular set of audio, last time here, what are we looking for, Madam Dispatcher? Who is our suspect? Please, we're waiting with bated breath. Please tell us who we're looking for.
Copy.
This is all such a
Going
joke.
to be wearing all black long gun, black tactical helmet, a black mask, possibly wearing a tactical vest and jeans.
Whoa.
We're still looking. There were
Tactical helmet?
everybody dropping.
Clear it out.
So the first broadcast was, we have somebody with a picture. We have somebody with a full video. In response to that, somebody says, well, can you send me a picture of the individual we're looking for? Robinson by now, right? Dispatcher, who is our suspect? Please, we're waiting with bated breath. Please tell us who we're looking for.
This is going to be good.
The suspect is going to be wearing all black long gun, black tactical helmet, a black mask, possibly wearing a tactical vest and jeans.
Yep, we're still looking. There we're 42, 40, almost 50 minutes after the Big Bang. We're still looking at this point for a suspect wearing all black long gun, black tactical helmet.
Wasn't he wearing blue jeans too? Like, wouldn't all black mean black jeans? And we've never seen an image of the person that they alleged was Tyler Robinson, where he's wearing the black shirt and the sunglasses and the hat. We've never seen anything with a vest. We've never seen any image with a vest. We've never seen any image with a mask. And he's wearing blue jeans.
Black mask, possibly wearing a tactical vest and jeans. Well, now you guys say, well, but it's possible in the fog of war that people just make mistakes. It's possible in the fog of war somebody had a miscalculation and they saw a guy that looked like Tyler Robinson running off the roof. Well, we've all seen Tyler Robinson by now, right? We all know what he looks like. There's nobody in America who would say that the Tyler Robinson that they've seen could be described as having shoulder-length hair, for example, or aviator sunglasses, right? Nobody would describe anybody as wearing shoulder-length hair with aviator sunglasses. So let's hear who they are looking for. If I can get this, there we go. If I can get it nailed down just right over the timestamp here. So this is, again, back to the Utah police scanner. We're switching feeds here, so it's going to look a little different on your end, but it's a scanner. So here we go. This was at 1:33 p.m. and 29 seconds, about an hour and 10 minutes after the Big Bang. Who is it you're looking for? The dispatcher, please, by all means, you have the floor.
Copy male, dressed in all black, shoulder-length hair, aviator glasses, black bag, and a long gun.
So we have a male dressed in all black. Now we've added a descriptor because we had, or two descriptors. We had the dressed in all black. We had the, actually, I don't know that we've had anybody mention a long gun at this point. So now we've added a long gun. We've added a black bag. We've added aviator glasses, wherever those came from. And we've introduced hair. We've introduced hair.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Unless you think that's the only transmission dealing with hair, I will play yet another one about a minute later so that you guys can see, no, in fact, hair has become intrinsic to the transmission. Let me get it queued up. It's pushing in 10-second increments here, so let me let it roll for just a second before I switch over there. But keep in mind, we're listening for hair. Here we go. You ready?
Suspect are in black, long pants, black bag, longer hair, mid-length, dark aviator style, sunglasses with a long gun.
All right. We have a male suspect, black, long pants, black bag, longer hair, mid-length, dark aviator style sunglasses with a long gun.
I just want to reiterate. I just want to say one more time. You know, I'm playing a couple of clips from this episode, but to really appreciate it, you got to go back and watch. And that's why I'm making it a point to keep the title in there so that you guys can. Why does audio after Charlie Kirk event not support Fed slop narrative? You have to watch his opening statement, his opening monologue. It ties everything together so well, and it really does the episode so much more justice. Like, I could cover the clips and the 911 calls and all that, but you have to go back and watch the episode if you haven't, because this really was Baron's masterpiece.
As you were listening to the Fed slop narrative being spoon-fed to you, being crammed down your throat day after day, asking like this was an open and shut case and we had nothing to talk about and we're all just conspiracy theorists, do you remember anybody talking to you about a suspect with long hair, shoulder-length hair, mid-length hair?
Not once.
Does this guy look familiar to you?
Oh!
Do you know who this is? This picture was taken less than a week ago.
Oh, was it now?
This is alleged to be Lance Twiggs, photographed by the Daily Mail in Texas.
He doesn't
That,
look
to
like
me,
a furry.
looks a lot like the description. Now, that's the Lance Twiggs we've all seen. We never got to see his hair, did we? Because they always showed us Lance Twiggs either in a hat or with this stupid costume on.
Yeah.
They never one time showed us Lance Twiggs looking like this. This is the first I got to see Lance Twiggs.
Yeah, it doesn't even look trans.
So when you look in the timeline becomes pretty important. The timeline starts to become problematic for the prosecution, starts to become problematic for the Fed slop.
It becomes very problematic because this whole time they've been saying that Tyler Robinson acted alone, that he was the lone shooter, that Lance Twiggs was cooperating to some degree and that he didn't know it was going to happen. And now in the 911 calls, you see that they're describing Lance Twiggs or someone that resembles Lance Twiggs as the shooter. And the description doesn't even match Tyler Robinson at all. Like, even if you were to prove that image of that person dressed in black with the hat and the glasses was Tyler Robinson, it does not fit the description of what they were talking about on the 911 tapes. It does not fit the description of the person that they were looking for in those 911 tapes. This whole thing just got so much more messier. And I talk about factors in the equation. The probability of a Fed cover-up is through the roof. We are talking greater than 99%. Greater than 99% with conservative priors. Kash Patel has a lot of explaining to do. A lot of explaining to do. You want to talk about accountability? The whole administration has a lot of explaining to do. And this has been so messy. So messy. The only conclusion that I could come to all this is that there was foreign involvement and that whatever foreign agency was responsible for this, that they just did it without any regard and they just dumped it on the US and they dumped it on the feds and they dumped it on the Trump administration and they said, clean it up. We don't give a fuck. That's really what this looks like. That's really what this looks like. That they just a lack of respect for the FBI, for the Trump administration, that they just took them out and they just said, deal with it. I mean, what other rational explanation is for how sloppy all this is?
We're going to get to why. But one of the major kinks in the timeline is the introduction to the timeline of a descriptor that looks a whole lot more like the roommate than it does Tyler Robinson. It also might help explain why the aunt interviewed by Brandy and Billy said that he might have been sort of being coddled a little bit by law enforcement, that he wasn't cooperating, but he sure never was arrested.
Which is crazy.
So this becomes a problem if you are pushing the FedSlop narrative. If you're Kash Patel, if you're the Utah County Sheriff's Office, if you're the Utah County Attorney's Office, the introduction of a description that matches a mysterious figure who allegedly is not cooperating with you, according to his family. That's an Infiniti FX35. I've seen about 10 people ask who the car is. You know, let's just say you're Jack Posobiec, right? Jack Posobiec went around and for like 100 days, we're like 4 or 5 months into this thing, but for like 100 straight days, Jack Posobiec was probably the strongest advocate for the FedSlop theory. And all of it was so easy. He confessed in text messages. He told his parents he did it. No, friends. It's starting to look to me like this Lance Twiggs may have played a larger role than we're being told. God love our British
I thought that the
journalists
entire time.
on the Daily Mail. Because without them, we would not know Lance Twiggs looked like this. We would have been spoon-fed the FedSlop narrative and the FedSlop pictures of Lance Twiggs with short hair. And we would have been stuck with that. That's all we would have had. He was kind of a mysterious figure. He didn't have a huge online presence.
I wonder what guys like Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder and Tim Pool have to say about this. If they have the balls to say anything about this. You know, they got no problem calling out Candace Owens and making everything about her and saying all this derogatory things towards her and offensive, all these offensive insults. But let's see what they have to say about the actual evidence in the case or lack thereof. Anybody? I don't think so.
But that to me looks precisely like what we were told in that description. Looks a lot like it to me. And there's something in the law, this Brady evidence, right? You guys know what Brady evidence is? I'm not suggesting this is Brady evidence, but I'm not suggesting the defense doesn't have this. I have it. I'm assuming they have it. But the reason Brady evidence exists is if there's something exculpatory, meaning if there's some evidence that points to someone else having done it, you're entitled to have it and evaluate it. You're entitled to review it. You're entitled to test it. You're entitled to follow up on it. And if the defense is entitled to it, then we as the public, if we're looking at this and drawing conclusions and speculating, nobody should be calling us conspiracy theorists. No, you guys have been hiding from us this entire time. That there's a
just like they did with every other case, just like they did with JFK, just like they did with 9/11. Just saying.
Description that fits the roommate, and we don't know where the roommate was. And the roommate had really bizarre text messages back and forth with Tyler Robinson that basically fry Tyler Robinson. And the roommate might have also had access to his Discord chat, his computer. Remember how he confessed to everything on Discord?
All very plausible. All very plausible.
I want to play one more clip from this scanner here, if I can get it dialed in just right. Just about nailed it. Let me go back. Watch how I share the screen and don't accidentally play it to myself while you guys all sit around wondering what the hell I'm doing. You see how I've done this? I brought it up. So let me play one more clip from this particular scan. This is from 1:36 p.m. and 51 seconds. This is somebody relaying once again the description.
I got the description you were looking for on the tip of the mail. You ready for that? And I'll give you the description on the mail. All in black, long pants, black bag, aviator-style sunglasses with a long gun. Information was given at 13:26.
Copy that. And 3-1 all units, just 1014. That information was observed on camera footage an hour prior to it being given out.
Wait a minute. You're telling me an hour before 13:26, which would be 12:26, which would be 2 or 3 minutes after the Big Bang. 2 or 3 minutes after the Big Bang, there was observed camera footage of a male, all in black, long pants, black bag, aviator-style sunglasses, and a long gun. You see how problematic this is by now?
How come that was never shown
You see
to
how
the
problematic
public?
this has become? The entire slop we were told for the next several days?
They went
Keep
out
in
of their
mind,
way
the guy
not
who
to
was
show us
dressed
that.
in black with aviator glasses, the black bag, and the long gun was described by two other dispatches, two separate dispatches, by two different dispatchers as having shoulder-length hair, medium hair, long hair. But we've been told it had to be Tyler Robinson. Have you ever seen Tyler Robinson with shoulder-length hair at all? Or aviator sunglasses? Or all in black with a long gun? No. I've seen none of that. Where is the camera footage that you supposedly observed 3 minutes? 3 minutes after the Big Bang. 2.5 maybe. Because this is 1:36 and 51 is when this went out. He said the information was given at 13:26, and that information had been observed on camera an hour before that. Which means, ladies and gentlemen, there is camera footage out there of a man with long hair and aviator sunglasses. Where is it? Where is it? You want me to? Where is it? I want to know where the camera footage is of the guy in aviator glasses and shoulder-length hair.
Yeah, I think we should all want to know where it is. And we should all want to know why Kash Patel never showed that to us. We should all want to know why Tyler Robinson's still in jail right now. Like, why are we having this trial? Like, why is this even going on in America right now? There's more than enough evidence. Like they got caught. They got caught. The feds got caught. We need accountability. Just like with the files. We need accountability. Our country is being run by criminals. Like, you guys realize this? Our country is being run by criminals. They're doing everything they can to manipulate us, to bleed us dry, to get us to go along with their wars, their agenda. This is awful. This is awful. I mean, I think everybody should be making phone calls to their elected officials right now. Even on the local levels. It doesn't matter if you're in Arizona, Utah, like anywhere, everywhere. If you're in Georgia, we all need to start letting these people know that we know what's going on, that the jig is up, and that we need change in our country. We need to take our country back. We need accountability. They've just gone too far. This has all gone too far. And we know who's behind it, at least to some degree. Or we know who's influencing it, who's been influencing it. Over the last 25 years, at least, our country has spiraled down the drain. Our debt, our health, our morality as a nation, and it's not a coincidence. And it's not our fault. But now that we know and we understand what happened, especially with all these files coming out, seeing firsthand the kind of changes that Charlie Kirk was making in his decision-making and his influence that led to his demise. Now that we know, we all have a responsibility to do something to change it. I'm going to leave it there with this. Like I said, watch the full episode. He gets into so much more. He gets into the timeline with the airports. That opening monologue was phenomenal. You know, Baron, you know, he's one of the good ones. He's one of the good ones. He's one of the great ones, I should say. And I appreciate all the work that he does. And that's it. Remember, like I always say, guys, be kind, be grateful, do something nice for somebody. Please give me a like and subscribe if you haven't already. This is a growing channel. I'm trying to get things going. And I will be back later. Have a good day, everybody.